first thing I noticed wasn't the silence. It was the sign. It leaned at an impossible angle beside the highway, its faded neon letters barely readable beneath years of rust. Black Pines Motel. Half the letters were missing. The parking lot was cracked apart by weeds, and every window stared back like empty eye sockets. According to the auction listing, the entire property had sold for just $12,400 after sitting abandoned for almost 15 years. Nobody wanted it. I couldn't understand why. The county records said the owner disappeared in 2011. No body, no suspects, just gone. The motel had remained locked ever since. As a property investor, I'd bought dozens of abandoned buildings before. Old gas stations, warehouses, storage units. Nothing had ever bothered me until I unlocked room 7. The door opened only a few inches before stopping. Something heavy was blocking it from the inside. I pushed harder. Slowly, the obstruction slid across the floor with a scraping sound that echoed through the empty motel. The smell hit me immediately. Not decay, not mold. Something older, like damp wood trapped underground for decades. My flashlight swept across the room. The furniture was untouched. The bed was perfectly made. A dusty suitcase sat neatly beside the dresser. It looked as if someone had checked in and simply never checked out. I stepped carefully into room 7, expecting rotten furniture or broken glass. Instead, everything looked preserved. Dust covered every surface, yet nothing appeared disturbed. The suitcase beside the dresser was old leather, cracked with age but still locked. A yellow motel registration card rested on top. Guest name, Daniel Mercer. Check-in, October 18th, 2011. The space for checkout was completely blank. I frowned. The county report had said the motel owner disappeared in 2011, but this guest had vanished at almost the exact same time. That couldn't be a coincidence. I opened the dresser drawers one by one. Empty, except for the last drawer. Inside was an old room key attached to a plastic tag. Room 13. I looked back toward the door. I was standing inside room 7. Why would a guest keep the key to another room? A cold breeze suddenly drifted across my neck. Every window in the room was nailed shut. Slowly, I turned around. The motel room door, which I clearly remembered leaving wide open, was now almost completely closed. The door stopped moving. It remained half open, swaying gently as if someone had just stepped outside. I rushed into the hallway. Nothing. The motel stretched endlessly in both directions, every room sealed beneath layers of dust. No footprints, no sound, only the faint buzz of an old neon sign somewhere outside. I looked back into room 7. The key to room 13 was gone. I was certain I'd left it on the dresser. Cold knot formed in my stomach. Then I heard it. Click. A door unlocking. The sound came from farther down the corridor. I aimed my flashlight toward the darkness. At the very end of the motel, room 13 stood slightly open. I hadn't opened it. I walked slowly toward the room, every step echoing through the empty hallway. As I got closer, I noticed something strange. Unlike every other room, the dust outside room 13 had been disturbed. Fresh footprints, only one set, leading inside. None came back out. I stopped at the doorway. The room beyond was completely dark. Then, from somewhere deep inside, an old rotary telephone began to ring. Once, twice, 3 times. And just before I reached for the light switch, a man's voice whispered from inside the darkness. "You're 15 years late." The telephone kept ringing. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound echoed through the empty motel room, loud enough to make the walls vibrate. Every instinct told me to leave. Instead, I stepped inside. The room looked almost identical to room 7. A neatly made bed, a small wooden desk, an old television. But everything here looked cleaner, as if someone had been living here recently. The phone rang again. I slowly lifted the receiver. There was only static at first. Then a calm voice spoke. "Room 13. I swallowed. "Who's this?" A long silence followed. Then the man answered. "The same question I wanted to ask you. Cold sweat ran down my back. "What do you mean? I've been waiting for you to check in. I never checked into this motel." Another pause. Then the voice laughed softly. "No, you checked in 15 years ago." My heart stopped. Before I could reply, the line filled with loud static. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. It was my own voice, panicked, breathing hard. "Listen carefully. If you're hearing this, do not stay after midnight." The call ended. The dial tone hummed quietly in my ear. At that exact moment, the motel's ancient wall clock ticked once. 11:58 p.m. The second hand struck 12. The clock stopped. Every light in the motel flickered once, then went out. The hallway outside room 13 disappeared into complete darkness. Only my flashlight remained. Its beam trembled as I pointed it toward the door. That's when I heard it. Car engine. Outside, I rushed to the window. An old black sedan slowly rolled into the empty parking lot. Its headlights cut through the darkness before switching off. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out wearing a long brown coat. He carried a single leather suitcase. Without looking around, he walked toward the motel office. I froze. This couldn't be happening. The property had been abandoned for 15 years. Yet this man behaved as if the motel were open for business. A moment later, the office lights came on. Warm yellow light spilled across the parking lot. Behind the reception desk stood a man. He smiled politely. It was the motel owner, the same owner who had officially disappeared in 2011. He handed the guest a room key. The tag hanging from it read, 13. The guest thanked him and began walking toward my room. Toward me, I backed away from the window. His footsteps echoed outside. Slow, steady, until they stopped directly outside room 13. 3 soft knocks broke the silence. Knock, knock, knock. Then the owner's voice came from the hallway. "Your replacement has arrived." The knocks came again. Knock, knock, knock. Couldn't breathe. The voice outside had said, "Your replacement has arrived." Replacement? I slowly backed away from the door. Then the brass doorknob began turning. Once, twice. The lock clicked, but I had locked it from the inside. The door opened anyway, only a few inches. A cold draft drifted into the room. No one stood outside. The hallway was empty. I forced myself to look left. Nothing. Then right. At the far end of the corridor, I saw him. The man with the leather suitcase. He had just entered room 7. The door closed behind him. A second later, the lights inside room 7 switched on. I hurried across the hallway. The door to room 7 was unlocked. I pushed it open. Everything had changed. The bed was no longer covered in dust. The air smelled fresh. A suitcase lay open on the bed. Clothes had been unpacked. The bathroom sink was still running. It looked as though someone had checked in only minutes ago. Then I noticed a framed mirror hanging above the dresser. I looked at my reflection, smiled. I hadn't. The reflection slowly raised one finger to its lips. "Don't let him know you're awake." Before I could move, someone quietly knocked on the bathroom door. From inside, "Knock, knock, knock." The knocking came again. Knock, knock, knock. It wasn't loud. It was careful, patient, like whoever was inside knew I would eventually answer. I looked back at the mirror. My reflection was gone. Only my real face stared back now. Pale, frozen, terrified. The bathroom faucet was still running. Water dripped steadily into the sink. Yet the knocking continued. I swallowed hard and reached for the doorknob. Felt warm, far too warm. I counted to 3 and pulled the door open. The bathroom was empty. The shower curtain hung motionless. The toilet lid was closed. The sink overflowed with perfectly clear water. I turned the faucet off. Silence. Relief washed over me. Then I noticed something on the fogged mirror above the sink. Words. Someone had written them with a finger from the inside. "Don't look behind you." Every muscle in my body locked. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. A slow, raspy inhale came from directly behind me. Not from the hallway. Not from another room. From inside the bathroom. shut my eyes. The breathing grew closer, closer, until I felt cold air brush against the back of my neck. Then, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, someone said, "He checked into room 13 because he was hiding from me." I spun around. The bathroom was empty. No one stood behind me, yet the whisper still echoed in my ears. "He checked into room 13 because he was hiding from me." Before I could react, every light in room 7 went out. My flashlight flickered, once, twice, then stabilized. The room looked different. The bed was covered in dust again. The suitcase had disappeared. The running water was gone, as if the last few minutes had never happened. Then, ding, a small brass bell rang from the motel office. I slowly stepped into the hallway. The office lights were on. Someone was standing behind the reception desk. The motel owner. He looked exactly like the old newspaper photo I'd seen before arriving. Gray suit, neatly combed hair, the same unsettling smile. He looked directly at me. "You're finally awake," he said. "I've never checked into this motel." His smile widened. "Everyone says that." He reached beneath the counter and placed a thick guest register on the desk. "Go ahead. Find your name." I walked closer. The pages were yellow with age. Names filled every line. Hundreds of guests. Every one of them had a checkout date, except one. Halfway down a page dated October 18th, 2011. I found it. Daniel Mercer, room 13. Check out. My hands began to shake. "That's not me." The owner nodded slowly. "You're right." He leaned closer. "That's the version of you who never escaped." I slammed the guest register shut. "That's impossible." The motel owner didn't argue. He simply slid an old VHS cassette across the counter. A faded label was taped to the front. "Room 13, final recording." "You wanted answers," he said calmly. "They're on the tape." I looked around. "There isn't even a television here." He smiled. "There wasn't. Until you arrived." A loud click echoed through the office. An old CRT television in the corner suddenly powered on by itself. White static filled the screen. Then the image cleared. The timestamp read, October 18th, 2011, 11:47 p.m. The camera was pointed at the hallway outside room 13. A man carrying a leather suitcase walked into view. My heart stopped. It was me, not someone who looked like me. Me. Same face, same jacket, same nervous habit of rubbing my left hand. The man unlocked room 13 and disappeared inside. The hallway remained empty for almost a minute. Then, the motel owner appeared on the recording. He slowly walked to the door. Without knocking, he whispered through it, "When he comes back, don't let him leave." The screen filled with static. For a split second, another face appeared. It wasn't the owner's. It wasn't mine. It was something standing behind the camera, watching the hallway, watching room 13, watching me. The television suddenly switched off. The office fell silent. The owner looked directly into my eyes. Then he asked, "Do you know why the camera never recorded its face?" The motel owner smiled. "Do you know why the camera never recorded its face?" I shook my head. He reached over and switched the television back on. This time there was no hallway, only black static. A sentence slowly appeared across the screen. "Cameras can only record the living." My stomach tightened. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said quietly, "the thing following you was never alive." The television crackled again. The hallway outside room 13 reappeared. The timestamp hadn't changed. 11:49 p.m. The door to room 13 slowly opened. The man who looked exactly like me stepped into the hallway. He seemed terrified. He kept looking over his shoulder as though someone was still inside the room. Then he started running. Halfway down the corridor, he suddenly stopped. His body became perfectly still. Slowly, he turned toward the security camera. His eyes weren't looking at the lens. They were focused on something standing behind it. The recording began to shake violently. The camera tilted upward. For less than a second, something crossed in front of the lens. The image glitched so badly it became impossible to make out. Long arms, a body far too tall for the hallway, a face that seemed to blur every time the camera tried to focus. Then, every monitor in the motel exploded into static. The recording ended. The television shut itself off. The owner looked at me without smiling. It learned something that night. What? He took a slow breath. It learned how to look exactly like the people it couldn't record. Before I could respond, footsteps echoed from the second floor. Heavy, slow, deliberate. The owner glanced toward the ceiling. For the first time, his face showed fear. He whispered only 4 words. "It knows you're here." The footsteps above us stopped. Silence swallowed the motel once again. The owner grabbed my wrist so hard it hurt. "We have to move." "Who is it?" He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled me through a narrow door behind the reception desk. A hidden staircase led to the second floor. The wallpaper peeled away in long strips, revealing dark stains beneath. Every few steps, another motel room door lined the hallway. Room 15, Room 17, Room 19. Each one had been nailed shut from the outside. Finally, we stopped in front of the last door. Room 21. Unlike every other room, this one had 3 deadbolts. The owner unlocked them one by one. His hands were shaking. "What is this place?" I whispered. He looked at me with exhausted eyes. "This is where we kept it." A cold chill ran through my body. "You mean the thing from the security tape?" He nodded. For a while, Room 21 was enough. He slowly pushed the door open. The room was completely empty. No bed, no furniture, only walls covered from floor to ceiling with thousands of names. Some were scratched into the paint. Others were written in dried black ink. Every single name had one thing in common, a line drawn through it, except one. Near the center of the wall, a fresh name had been written. The ink was still wet. I stepped closer. My blood froze. It read, "Daniel Mercer." Before I could speak, a second line began writing itself beneath it, letter by letter, as if an invisible hand were holding the pen. Check-in complete. Then, somewhere behind us in the hallway, someone softly knocked on the open door. "Knock, knock." A voice that sounded exactly like mine whispered, "You locked the wrong Daniel inside." The whisper faded into the hallway. "You locked the wrong Daniel inside." The motel owner went pale. "No!" He slammed the door to room 21 shut and threw all 3 deadbolts into place. Bang! Something struck the other side immediately. Not once. Again. Hard enough to shake the walls. The owner backed away from the door. "It was never supposed to reach this room." "What is it?" He stared at the wall where my name had appeared. "It isn't hunting people. It hunts replacements." The pounding stopped. Complete silence. Then the voice spoke again, still sounding exactly like mine. "But you've already replaced him." The owner slowly turned toward me. His expression changed. Confusion, then suspicion. "Tell me something," he said quietly. "What? When you arrived this morning, what color was your truck?" I frowned. "Black." He closed his eyes. "No, it was white." A chill spread through my body. "No, it wasn't." "Yes, I watched you park." I opened my mouth to argue, but suddenly I couldn't remember. Black, white, the memory was slipping away. The owner stepped backward. "What was the first thing you saw when you entered the motel?" "The sign." "What was missing?" I couldn't answer. I had known it, just seconds ago. Now the memory was gone. The owner's breathing became uneven. "Oh God!" It already started. Behind the locked door, someone laughed. It was my laugh. Then came a single sentence. Soft, patient, certain. "He's remembering my life now." I grabbed my head. Fragments of memories flashed through my mind. A white pickup truck, then a black one. The motel sign standing upright, then leaning to one side. 2 completely different versions of the same day. The owner watched me with growing horror. "It's rewriting you." What is? The motel. Another heavy bang shook the door to room 21. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The voice on the other side laughed again. You can't stop it. It only needs one memory at a time. The owner suddenly ran toward the reception office. Come with me. We hurried downstairs, weaving through the dark hallway until we reached the front desk again. He unlocked a hidden drawer beneath the guest register. Inside was an old leather notebook. Unlike the motel ledger, this one wasn't dusty. Its pages looked new. He handed it to me. Read the last page. I flipped through dozens of handwritten entries. Each one described a guest. Every entry ended the same way. Replacement complete. My hands trembled as I reached the final page. It had today's date. There was only one sentence. Daniel Mercer checked in at 11:42 p.m. Below it, a second line was writing itself in fresh black ink. The pen moved on its own. Original subject unstable. Replacement at 91%. I dropped the notebook. The pen rolled across the desk, then stopped, pointing directly at me. The motel owner whispered, "We're almost out of time." Just then, the old reception bell rang. Ding. The front door slowly opened. A cold wind swept into the lobby. A man walked inside carrying a worn leather suitcase. He smiled politely, then he looked directly at me because he had my face. He placed a room key on the counter. The tag hanging from it read, Room 7. He smiled wider, then calmly said, "I'd like to check out." The man with my face smiled patiently. He stood in the motel lobby holding the worn leather suitcase in one hand and the key to room 7 in the other. "I'd like to check out," he repeated. The motel owner didn't move. His face had turned completely white. "No one has ever checked out." The man chuckled softly. "That's because no one ever became the original." He placed the brass key on the reception counter. The instant it touched the wood, every room key hanging behind the desk began swinging at once. Tiny metal tags clinked together in perfect rhythm. Room 1, Room 2, Room 3, all the way to Room 21. The motel owner whispered, "Don't look into his eyes." Too late. The man looked directly at me. For a split second, I wasn't standing in the lobby anymore. I was driving toward Black Pines Motel in a white pickup truck. Not black, white. The memory felt completely real. I remembered stopping for gas, buying coffee, calling someone named Emily. Then the vision vanished. I stumbled backward. The owner caught me. "How much do you remember?" I looked at him in confusion. "What motel?" His expression shattered. "No." The man behind the counter smiled. "It's almost finished." He picked up the guest register and calmly flipped to the final page. Without touching a pen, a new sentence appeared beneath my name. Original memory overwritten. Replacement complete. 99%. The lights throughout the motel suddenly went dark. Only the glowing exit sign remained. Then, from somewhere upstairs, every motel room door opened at exactly the same time. One after another. Click, click, click. Dozens of slow footsteps began descending toward the lobby. Not one person, not two, an entire motel full of guests. Guests who had never checked out. The footsteps grew louder, slow, perfectly synchronized. One by one, figures emerged from the darkness at the top of the staircase. A woman in a faded red dress. An elderly man clutching a newspaper from 1998. A little boy dragging a stuffed rabbit across the floor. None of them blinked. None of them spoke. They simply walked toward the lobby. Toward me. The man with my face smiled. "Meet the guests. They've all been waiting for checkout." The motel owner grabbed my arm. "Don't let them surround you." But it was already too late. The guests spread across the lobby in complete silence, forming a circle around us. Every one of them slowly turned their heads toward me. Then, together, they smiled. The same smile. The same impossible grin. The man who looked like me stepped forward and held out the room 7 key. "You don't belong outside anymore. You belong here." I backed away until my shoulders hit the reception desk. The motel owner reached beneath the counter and pulled out an old revolver. Without hesitation, he fired. Bang! The bullet passed straight through the copy's chest. It didn't bleed. It didn't fall. The hole slowly closed as though nothing had happened. The copy looked down at its shirt and laughed. "You still think this place follows your rules?" The guests took another step closer. The air grew colder. Then every one of them spoke at once. Not loudly, just one quiet sentence. "Checkout is only for the living." Before I could react, the lights flickered back on. Every guest had disappeared. Only the copy remained, standing a few feet away, still holding the brass key. Then he placed it gently into my hand and whispered, "Room 13 is waiting for you." The brass key felt warm in my hand. Too warm. I wanted to throw it away. Instead, my fingers closed around it tighter. The motel owner noticed immediately. "No!" His voice shook. "It chose you." I tried to let go. Couldn't. Felt as though the key had fused to my skin. The copy smiled. "Room 13 only opens for its rightful guest." Without thinking, I turned toward the hallway. Step after step after step. I wasn't walking because I wanted to. Something else was guiding me. The owner grabbed my jacket. "Fight it!" I stopped for only a second. Then an unbearable pain exploded inside my head. Images flooded my mind. Checking into the motel. Signing the guest register. Carrying the leather suitcase upstairs. Unlocking room 13. They felt real. Too real. I reached the hallway. The door to room 13 was already open. The room was dark, except for one thing. An old bedside lamp glowed with a dim yellow light. The suitcase from 15 years ago sat neatly on the bed. Its lock was already open. I stepped closer. Inside wasn't clothing, or money, or documents. Only hundreds of photographs. Every single one showed me different years, different clothes, different ages, but always standing somewhere inside Black Pines Motel. The oldest photograph was dated 1987. I hadn't even been born. My hands began shaking as I reached the final photograph. It wasn't printed. It was still developing. The image slowly became clearer. It showed me standing in room 13, holding a photograph, the exact photograph I was looking at. Then a second figure appeared behind me. It leaned close to my ear. The camera still couldn't focus on its face. But this time, I heard its voice clearly. "Smile." The camera shutter clicked. Behind me, the camera shutter echoed through room 13. Click. I spun around. No one. The room was empty, but the photograph in my hands had changed. The shadow behind me was clearer now. It was taller than any normal person. Its arms were impossibly long, and where its face should have been, there was only darkness. I dropped the photograph. It landed face up on the floor. Another picture slid out of the suitcase by itself. Then another, and another. Hundreds of photographs spilled across the room like playing cards. Every one of them showed the same thing. Someone checking into Black Pines Motel. None showed anyone leaving. A cold voice spoke from behind me. "You've been looking at the wrong collection." I turned slowly. The copy stood in the doorway, still smiling, still carrying the leather suitcase. He knelt and picked up one photograph. This man checked in during 1984. He tossed it aside. A woman from 1997. A child from 2005. They all thought they were the first. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. "What are you?" The smile disappeared. For the first time, his face looked tired. I was the first guest. The room went silent. The motel copied me. Then it copied the next guest. And the next. It kept replacing people until no one remembered who the original was. He looked directly into my eyes. "Now it's your turn." Behind him, the hallway lights suddenly went out one by one. Darkness rushed toward room 13. The copy stepped backward into it. Before disappearing completely, he whispered, "When the lights reach this room, only one Daniel will still exist." The darkness crept down the hallway. One light after another blinked out. Room 20. Dark. Room 19. Dark. Room 18. Dark. The copy's final words echoed in my mind. Only one Daniel will still exist. I grabbed the suitcase and ran. The motel owner was still waiting in the lobby. The moment he saw the suitcase, his expression changed. "You opened it." I nodded. "There are photographs of every guest." He closed his eyes. "Then it's too late." The lights continued dying. Room 15. Room 14. Room 13. The lamp inside my room flickered violently before going black. For a heartbeat, the entire motel disappeared. Then emergency lights snapped on. A deep red glow filled every hallway. At the reception desk, an old printer suddenly came to life. Paper slowly rolled out by itself. The motel owner tore it off. His hands trembled as he read it. I looked over his shoulder. Across the top were the words, "Midnight Checkout List." Only one name appeared, Daniel Mercer. Below it, a single instruction, "Proceed to the office." The owner looked at me. "Don't go. What happens if I don't?" He didn't answer. Instead, he unlocked a small wooden cabinet behind the counter. Inside were dozens of motel room keys. Every tag was covered in dried blood, except one, polished brass key. His tag read, "Exit." He pressed it into my hand. "I've protected that key for 15 years. It only works once." Before I could ask anything else, the motel office door slowly opened by itself. Warm yellow light spilled into the lobby. Inside, someone was sitting behind the reception desk, calmly filling out paperwork. He looked up. It was me, not the copy, not the smiling version, just me. He placed a registration card on the desk and asked politely, "Will you be checking in or checking out?" I stared at the man behind the reception desk. He looked exactly like me. No black eyes, no impossible smile, just me. He calmly folded the registration card and slid it across the counter. "You're late." My voice caught in my throat. "Who are you?" He smiled sadly. "I'm the one who actually bought Black Pines Motel." The room spun. "No." "Yes." He opened an old ledger beneath the desk. The first page wasn't dated 2011. It was dated July 24th, 2026. Today's date. "You never arrived here 15 years ago," he said. "You arrived tonight." I looked toward the motel owner. He was gone. The lobby was empty. Only the man behind the desk remained. He continued speaking. "The motel doesn't trap people. It traps time." He turned the ledger around. Every page contained the same date, July 24th, 2026. Hundreds of pages, thousands of guest names. The same day, repeated over and over again. "You've lived this night before. How many times?" He slowly closed the book. 48. My knees nearly gave out. "No!" The first Daniel believed the owner. The second tried to burn the motel. The 15th escaped onto the highway. The 33rd destroyed room 13. The 48th found the photographs. He looked directly into my eyes. "And you're the 49th. My breathing became uneven. "Then none of this is real." He shook his head. "Oh, it's real. The copies aren't replacing you. They're replacing each other." He leaned forward. "For 15 years. The real Daniel has been sitting behind this desk." Silence filled the lobby. Then, the motel bell rang. Ding. The front door opened. A man walked inside carrying a leather suitcase. He looked around nervously. Then our eyes met. My blood turned to ice. He was me, exactly as I had looked when I first arrived at Black Pines Motel earlier that evening. The man behind the desk whispered, "The cycle has started again." The man carrying the leather suitcase froze in the doorway. He was exactly as I remembered. The same jacket, the same flashlight clipped to his belt, the same nervous expression I had worn when I first arrived at Black Pines Motel. He looked at me in confusion. "Who are you?" The Daniel behind the reception desk answered before I could. "Your future." The new arrival laughed uneasily. "Very funny." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded auction receipt. The date matched today's. Everything was happening exactly as it had happened to me. Again, the receptionist, my older self, looked at me. "You still have the key." I looked down. The brass exit key was still clenched in my hand. I had almost forgotten about it. What does it actually do? It opens the only door the motel cannot lock. Then why haven't you used it? A long silence filled the lobby. Finally, he answered, "Because every time I tried, I handed it to the next Daniel instead." My heart sank. "So you've never escaped?" He smiled sadly. "No, I've only delayed becoming him." At that moment, the motel lights flickered violently. Every room door upstairs slammed shut. Boom, boom, boom. The entire building shook. Then the security cameras mounted in every corner slowly turned toward us, one by one, until every lens pointed directly at me. A deep mechanical voice echoed through the motel. "Identity conflict detected. Multiple originals present." The copy was nowhere to be seen. Neither was the motel owner. Only the two Daniels remained, and me. The brass exit key suddenly became burning hot. A narrow door appeared beside the reception desk. It hadn't been there before. Above it hung a faded sign, "Exit." For the first time since entering Black Pines Motel, I could see daylight shining beneath the door. Real daylight. Fresh air drifted through the crack. The older Daniel looked at me. "If you leave, the next cycle ends." I reached for the handle. Then the man who had just arrived, the newest Daniel, grabbed my arm. His eyes were full of panic. "If you leave, what happens to me?" Before either of us could move, the door marked exit slowly unlocked itself, and something on the other side turned the handle from outside. The handle turned, slowly, deliberately, not from inside the motel, from the other side. The exit door creaked open just a few inches. Blinding sunlight poured into the lobby. Real sunlight. For the first time since I arrived, I could smell fresh air. Grass, rain, freedom. The newest Daniel tightened his grip on my arm. "Don't go. If you leave, what happens to me?" Before I could answer, a voice came from beyond the doorway. A woman's voice. "Daniel." My heart skipped. I knew that voice. Emily, the woman I'd remembered calling on the drive to the motel. I rushed toward the door. "Emily." She stood outside in broad daylight beside my white pickup truck. Tears filled her eyes. "I've been looking for you. Come home." Everything inside me wanted to run to her. Then I noticed something. She wasn't breathing. Her hair wasn't moving in the wind, even though the trees outside were swaying. The older Daniel shouted, "Stop!" I froze. He pointed toward the ground outside the doorway. "There are no shadows." I looked again. He was right. The truck had no shadow. Emily had no shadow. Neither did the trees. The sunlight was fake. Emily smiled, but it wasn't her smile anymore. Her face slowly stretched wider. Her eyes became completely black. I said, "Come home." The motel walls shook violently. Every security camera exploded into sparks. The newest Daniel screamed. Behind us, the motel owner suddenly appeared at the end of the hallway. His suit was torn. Blood covered one side of his face. He was running, actually running. "It got out," he shouted. "It found the exit before you did." The fake sunlight vanished. The doorway became nothing but endless darkness. From within it, a single pale hand slowly reached inside the motel. The older Daniel looked at me one final time. Then he pushed the brass exit key into my hand. His voice was calm, almost relieved. "There's only one way to close the door." He turned, walked straight toward the darkness, and stepped through it. The hand immediately grabbed him. The door slammed shut. The brass exit key shattered into pieces in my palm. Then, for the first time in 15 years, someone screamed from outside the motel. The scream outside didn't stop. It echoed across the empty highway, growing fainter until it dissolved into the wind. Then, silence. I looked down at my hand. The brass exit key had turned into fine black dust. There was no escape anymore. The newest Daniel stared at the closed door in disbelief. sacrificed himself. I couldn't answer. For the first time, the motel owner looked completely defeated. His shoulders slumped. It's over. The lobby lights dimmed again. A low humming began beneath the floorboards. The guest register flipped open by itself. Page after page turned violently. Then it stopped. A fresh page. Today's date. Across the top, new words slowly burned themselves into the paper. Final guest register. 3 names appeared. Daniel Mercer. Daniel Mercer. Daniel Mercer. One by one, the first 2 names faded. Only one remained. Mine. The motel owner whispered. It finally chose. The newest Daniel looked at me. No! It chose you. His body suddenly flickered like a failing television. Tiny pieces of him began breaking away into black dust. He reached toward me. Please. I don't want to disappear. I grabbed his hand, passed straight through mine. Within seconds, he was gone. Nothing remained except the leather suitcase. The motel owner picked it up. You know what's inside now. The photographs. He slowly shook his head. No. He opened the suitcase. The photographs were gone. Inside was only one object. A small leather-bound notebook. Its cover read, Black Pines Motel. Guest number 50. I stared at him. There hasn't been a guest 50. He looked directly into my eyes. There will be. Before I could ask what he meant, every clock inside the motel struck midnight again. The calendar on the wall flipped backward. July 24th, July 23rd, July 22nd. The dates continued reversing. The motel owner smiled sadly. It isn't restarting the night. It's restarting the motel. Outside the front windows, the abandoned parking lot began changing. Cracked pavement became smooth asphalt. Dead weeds disappeared. The broken neon sign flickered back to life. Cars slowly filled the parking spaces. Guests walked toward their rooms. The motel was alive again, as if the last 15 years had never happened. Then someone walked through the front entrance. A young woman carrying a single suitcase. She smiled politely. I saw your vacancy sign. I only need one room. The motel owner quietly placed the registration book in front of me. Then he stepped away from the desk. I can't check her in anymore. I looked at the woman, then at the guest register, then at the empty chair behind the reception desk. The woman smiled again. Excuse me, are you the new owner? The young woman stood at the reception desk, smiling politely. I saw your vacancy sign. I only need one room. The motel owner looked at me. Then he quietly walked toward the front door. Wait, I shouted. He stopped without turning around. You said you couldn't check her in anymore. I can't, because my shift is over. Before I could move, his body began fading. Not into darkness, into light. Within seconds, he disappeared completely. Only the motel keys remained hanging behind the desk. The lobby fell silent. The young woman cleared her throat. Excuse me, can I get a room? I looked at the guest register. The pen beside it lifted by itself. Waiting, I backed away. I'm not doing this. The motel lights flickered once. Every room key behind the counter began rattling. The bell rang. Ding. A sentence slowly appeared across the guest register. Owner refused check-in. The floor trembled. The young woman's smile vanished. What was that? Then she heard it too. Footsteps, coming from every hallway. Doors opened all over the motel. Guests slowly emerged. The woman stared in horror. Who are those people? I grabbed her wrist. We have to leave. We ran for the front entrance. The glass doors wouldn't open. I shoved harder. Nothing. The windows were no longer showing the highway. Outside, there was only another motel hallway. Endless. Room after room. Stretching farther than I could see. The woman began crying. This isn't possible. I turned back toward the lobby. Every guest had stopped walking. They were all watching us. Then they slowly stepped aside, creating a clear path back to the reception desk. The guest register was still open. The pen was still waiting. A new sentence appeared. Check her in. The woman looked at me. What does it want? Before I could answer, a child's voice echoed from upstairs. Soft, lonely, almost pleading. Please don't leave me alone again. I froze. That voice, it wasn't coming from the motel. It was coming from room 13, and it sounded exactly like me when I was a child. The child's voice echoed through the motel. Soft, broken, terrified. Please don't leave me alone again. My legs refused to move. The young woman looked at me. Who's upstairs? I whispered the truth. I think it's the first version of me. Without another word, I ran toward room 13. The hallway seemed shorter now, almost as if the motel wanted me to reach it. Room 13 stood open. Inside, the room looked nothing like before. The bed was gone. The walls were gone. There was only a single wooden chair. A small boy sat in it, no older than 8. He looked exactly like me. He held an old toy camera in his lap. When he looked up, tears filled his eyes. You finally came back. My throat tightened. I don't understand. He smiled sadly. You never remembered. The toy camera clicked by itself. Suddenly, every memory returned. Not pieces. Everything. The motel. The copies. The owner. The guests. I remembered finding Black Pines Motel, not as an adult, but as a child. I had wandered inside while my parents stopped at a nearby gas station. I had opened room 13. Something inside had followed me home. Everything after that, every Daniel, every motel, every cycle, had been created trying to bring me back. The little boy stood up. It never wanted everyone. It only wanted me. The room began collapsing. Walls cracked. The hallway outside disappeared. The motel itself started breaking apart. The young woman screamed from somewhere below. The child handed me the toy camera. One last picture. I looked through the tiny viewfinder. Instead of the room, I saw the motel burning. Every guest walking away. The owner smiling. The highway empty. Peace. The little boy nodded. Now let me go. I pressed the shutter. Click. A blinding white flash filled the room. I woke beside the highway at sunrise. Firefighters surrounded the ruins of an old abandoned building. One of them looked at me. You're lucky. The whole place collapsed. I looked toward the ashes. There was no motel. No room 13. No guest register. Only broken bricks. A firefighter handed me a small cardboard box. We found this beside you. Inside was an old toy camera. Nothing else. No film. No photographs. No suitcase. Just a single folded motel receipt. Across the bottom, in faded handwriting, were 5 words. Thank you for checking out. I looked back at the smoking ruins one final time. Then I walked toward the highway. This time, no one followed.